Luis forgot me on that rainy night. He thought I would show up the next day like nothing had happened, as I always did. But I had forgotten everything after the age of 16, including him. I returned to the small town in my memories and opened a flower shop. Later, a reality show came to film in the town, and under the watchful eyes of cameras and passers-by, this top-tier celebrity ran toward the flower shop, eyes red, completely disregarding his image. Chapter 1. This was already my 7th day in the hospital. I had tried multiple times to convince the doctor that there was nothing wrong with me, but he insisted I was suffering from amnesia. His stubbornness made me laugh. Wouldn't I know best whether I had memory loss or not? I said, "Doctor, I remember where I live. I remember my classmates from elementary, middle, and high school. How could I possibly have amnesia? I want to be discharged. I'm really fine." Seeing that he remained unmoved, I started sobbing and pleading, "Uncle, please have some pity on me. I barely have any money left in my bank card. My phone's broken, and my family is probably really worried about me." He stared at me in silence for a long while, then finally nodded helplessly. "All right." Once I stepped outside, I took a deep breath of fresh air. The smell of disinfectant in the hospital had become unbearable over the past few days. The noonday sun felt warm on my skin. I scratched my head, looking at the now slightly unfamiliar surroundings. I asked around and found my way to a phone shop to buy a new phone. Staring blankly at the screen, I suddenly remembered I had thrown away my crushed old phone along with all the contacts in it. So I asked around again and headed to get a new SIM card. Just then, the giant screen on the International Trade Building was playing an interview with a celebrity, and a crowd had gathered in front. As I passed by, some excited fans were asking about the person on screen. Nearby uncles and aunties answered, "He's called Luis. He's a rising top-tier star. The young man's good-looking and talented. Please support him." Hearing that, I looked up at the screen out of curiosity. The host smiled and said, "The top comment in the live chat is, for someone as good-looking as Luis. Is there any love he can't have?" The man was indeed very handsome, highbrow bones, red lips, white teeth. When he smiled slightly, he said, "At the moment, no, there isn't." The girl next to him covered her mouth and laughed. She had the sweet, innocent look of the girl next door. She said, "I thought you were going to say you did, so I could gossip a bit." The people around them were all whispering how perfect they looked together. I blinked. The man looked oddly familiar. Then I shook my head. Aren't all celebrities kind of familiar? And I continued walking forward. Chapter 2. After the interview, Luis returned backstage. He scanned the room, but still didn't see me. His expression darkened, and he asked his manager, "Where's Miranda?" The manager looked troubled. "I don't know either. I can't reach her." Did something happen to Miranda? The moment Luis heard that, his heart skipped a beat. But then he remembered how he had left me behind at the hotel that night. He figured I was probably just throwing a tantrum again. Thinking that, he felt relieved and told the manager, "Send her a message. If I don't see her again tonight, I don't ever want to see her again." After buying what I needed and handling everything, I looked down at my empty hands. Had I been traveling and got robbed? After buying a plane ticket back to Yanqing, I sat in a chair waiting to board. I lowered my head, downloading the apps I needed and logging in. There was a commotion at the gate. I turned to look. The scene was quite intense. A crowd had gathered around someone, and others were filming with phones and cameras. He must have been pretty famous. I looked away again, and suddenly the doctor's words echoed in my mind. "You must have forgotten something." Forgotten something? Forgotten what? It really felt like something was missing, as if a piece of tape in my memory had been cut out. I looked once more at the famous guy. He was already at security check. When he took off his mask and sunglasses, I thought I must have seen him somewhere before. Oh, right, that rising star, Luis. Chapter 3. A few months later, I lay in the wicker chair at my flower shop, the hot midday breeze drifting through the air. I watched the fresh faces of students just out of school. After returning to my grandparents' home from memory, I found the house empty. Only 2 portraits hung on the wall, Grandpa and Grandma smiling kindly. I looked at the quiet, empty house, and a wave of bitterness rose in my chest. It turned out I had lost all memories after the age of 16. My memory stopped at my first year of high school, when Grandpa and Grandma still cooked my favorite dishes and waited for me to come home from school. I had forgotten all those memories. I didn't know where the adult version of me had worked, or whether I'd gotten married. But I didn't want to think too hard about it. Deep down, I felt there was no need to, because during my hospital stay, not a single person came to see me. So I stayed in the small town and opened a flower shop, running a flower shop, selling flowers, listening to stories, watching the sunrise and sunset, watching the tides roll in. The TV in the shop was playing entertainment news. The host's voice was clear and polished. Top-tier celebrity Luis clarified in an exclusive interview this morning that he and Selena, the lead actress of Coward, are just colleagues. Luis said they are purely working together and hopes fans will view things rationally. Luis, are you crazy? His manager shouted, furious, even though the drama had already ended. Luis had clarified a past rumor without coordinating with the other team, which would surely drive the fans who shipped them mad. Luis lowered his head, staring blankly at our chat history on his phone. He had just sent this message. Selena and I really were a misunderstanding. It was all for show. Just promo for the drama. You've been mad long enough. Come back now. It was the first time he had ever lowered himself to apologize. But even after a long wait, I hadn't replied. Not a word. His manager, seeing he wasn't even listening, slammed the phone and raised his voice. Luis, listen to me. If you still want a career, stop this nonsense. Look how many people are watching that spot you're in. The second you step down, someone else will take your place. As for Miranda, get your act together. He was so angry he was panting, glaring at Luis with disappointment. Maybe she found another path. You can't expect a girl that young to spend her life as a nobody assistant. Luis's heart clenched. Then why didn't she tell me? Oh, please. With the way you treated her. If I were her, I would have walked away long ago. Tell you? Tell you my ass. Luis's face gradually turned pale. He couldn't believe I'd really leave him. After all, I was the one who'd said I'd stay by his side forever. I had loved him so much. How could I leave without a word? He thought. It must have been that rainy night. He had abandoned me, and I got mad. He believed it was just a misunderstanding with Selena. Now that he had explained it clearly, I would come back soon. Chapter 4. Xiaoshui town is a coastal place, and right across from my flower shop is the sea. Every day I sit here, arranging flowers outside, then lie in the wicker chair inside, waiting for couples to stop by to buy flowers or take pictures. These days, I still can't remember anything. One afternoon, a few elementary school kids walked in. They crouched at the entrance of my shop, eyes wide, excitedly discussing which flower was which. I walked out slowly with a palm fan and told them, that one's a daisy, that one's a blue enchantress, and that one's a rose. Woo! They looked at me in awe and clapped enthusiastically. Sister, you're amazing! You know the names of so many flowers. Children always have wild imaginations. One little girl said, when I grow up, I want to open a flower shop too. Just like you. I want to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a big star, and you'll be my assistant. A girl with two bun pigtails said proudly, pointing at the boy next to her. The boy nodded seriously. I'll be the big star's assistant. I smiled as I watched them, when suddenly a blurry image and conversation surged into my mind. In that scene, a girl rested her head on her hand and said to a boy, you're definitely going to be a big star one day. I'll be your very first fan. The boy continued doing homework silently, not responding. The girl didn't get mad, instead giggling and saying, no, I've decided, I'll be your assistant instead. It hurt a lot. I clutched my head and stumbled back inside the shop, collapsing into a chair. After a while, when I caught my breath, my chest was still heaving. The boy in that memory, who was he? Chapter 5. The answer came to me later while cleaning the attic. I had gone up to store some unfinished dried flowers, and while organizing, I found a yellowed notebook inside an old box. A few beams of sunlight filtered through the window into the small attic, and the dust in the air became visible in the light. I thought about it. This notebook didn't seem like something I had written before 16. It must have been something I wrote after that. Haha. Today the big star and I came to North City. It's so big and pretty here. This didn't look like a diary, there weren't even dates. I probably just grabbed a notebook and wrote when I felt like it. I sat on the stairs, leaning against the wall, flipping through the pages. None of it felt familiar. I was like a stranger peeking into a young girl's heart. On the next page, there was a date, August 1st, 20XX. I forgot to bring water for Selena today. That's what he yelled at me for, but I'm just his assistant, not Selena's. Is he starting to like Selena too? Selena? Who's that? My lips tightened. The girl in the diary seemed very sad. Was he someone I liked? August 2nd, 20XX. They filmed a kissing scene today. I know it's just acting, but I still felt sad. Why does Selena always mess up right at the key moment? They kissed so many times already, I really want to curse her out. October 11th, 20XX. Today is both my birthday and Selena's, but he chose to celebrate with her. The place was fancy. Selena looked stunning, with a crystal crown like a princess. And he looked so happy next to her. But why am I always the one being left behind? I don't want to like him anymore. There were dried stains on the yellowed paper. I pressed my hand over them, feeling a tight ache in my chest. So even as an adult, I was never someone's first choice. Why did I make myself so small? November 1st, 20XX. Aw, he kissed me today. He kissed me. I'm so happy. So happy. He must like me, right? Definitely. I blinked slowly, letting out a silent sigh, and walked downstairs. People who aren't loved always use even the tiniest sweetness to erase all the hurt from before, just to create an illusion that maybe he loves me too. After filming wrapped for the day, Luis quietly returned to his trailer. Director Nestor, who had worked with him before, rubbed his stubble and asked thoughtfully, "Where's that little girl who used to follow you around?" "I haven't seen her since we started filming." He remembered her vividly, always smiling, kind-tempered, running around the set. Every time he lost his temper, she'd show up cheerfully and say, "Come on, Director Nestor. Don't be mad. I brought you some special tea from home to calm your fire." But back then, Luis had always treated her coldly. She gave warmth, and he gave her the cold shoulder. Hearing someone ask about me again, Luis's whole body trembled. His eyes stung. He forced a smile. She's been sick lately. Director Nestor raised his eyebrows, clearly having his own thoughts, but didn't ask further. Back in his trailer, Luis sat motionless in the chair. After all this time, I still hadn't come back. It really seemed I was gone for good. He whispered hoarsely into the empty space. Miranda, the me who used to respond with a cheerful right here, was gone. He looked at our chat history, and tears blurred his vision. Miranda. I was wrong. Where did you go? Chapter 6. December 31st, 20XX. These days, I keep thinking about when we first came to North City. I had money, but no matter what I said, he refused to use it. Back then, I stayed with him in a basement apartment. Winters were freezing, but he was good to me. It seemed like he really liked me, too. We went from production to production, sending out resumes and attending auditions, even hoping to land small background roles. Then, thanks to one drama, he became an overnight sensation and finally reached the place he had always dreamed of. Everything became within his grasp. His smile grew brighter, and the endorsements kept pouring in, but he seemed to drift further and further away from me. Rumors swirled around him constantly, and always with the same woman. He never denied them. In fact, he seemed to indulge in them. He didn't realize it, but I did. I could see it clearly. They say, the one inside the game is confused. The observer sees clearly. But back then, wasn't I the one trapped in the game too? Clear-headed but hopelessly entangled, unable to walk away. The sky had already gone dark. I looked up at the full moon. Suddenly, I remembered a quote I once read. Is this the same moon I saw when I was young? Time ages so easily, and youth is fleeting. What slips away quietly is life itself, leaving behind a trace of regret. But all those moments were the result of my own choices at the time. When we look back, we often wonder, if I had done it differently, would things have turned out better? People always believe the path they didn't take is the one blooming with flowers. forgetting how they felt and thought at the time. I walked home beneath the moonlight. Chapter 7. That day, the lazy sun shone into the shop. Outside, a child ran around happily with a pinwheel. His parents followed behind, smiling with doting affection. I found myself smiling too, my chin resting on my hand. So happy, I thought. These days, bits and pieces of my memories have started to return. When I was very young, my parents got divorced. Neither of them wanted me. They both saw me as a burden. They couldn't give me love, so they gave me money instead. In my dim memories, I remember just after finishing my college entrance exams at 18. I carried a small suitcase and went to see my mom. I wanted to tell her I did well on the exams and that I'd taken good care of myself. But when I found her, she was shopping with a girl about my age. The girl was clinging to her arm, pouting sweetly. My mom touched the girl's nose with affection, smiling helplessly, the same way she used to frown at me impatiently. I left the mall and walked aimlessly through the forest of tall buildings and heavy traffic. That night, I took a flight back home. The memory ended. I picked up a flower and trimmed its dead leaves. I was living well, on my own. This world is full of all kinds of brokenness. February 4th, 20XX. When I got up this morning, there was a bouquet of roses in the living room, bright red, but already wilted. They were from him, but the flowers were dead, and he got it wrong. I don't like roses. The one who does is Selena. July 20th, 20XX. From 17 to 27, I stayed by his side year after year. That's enough. It's time for me to live the life I want. I want to open a flower shop, go back to Xiaoshui town, watch the sun rise and set, and grow old slowly. The golden light of sunset wasn't harsh. The sea breeze swept in from the coast, and the yellowed notebook slowly flipped open. The words I once wrote couldn't really be called a proper diary. There were no clear years, and entries were often months apart. I stared down at the notebook resting silently on the smooth tabletop. It felt like it was speaking to me through the passage of time. It told me that Miranda, back then, was lonely. She had no one to talk to, so she wrote everything down this way. She was like a trapped beast, placing all her hope for love, her need to be loved, on that one man. A tear silently slipped down my cheek. The wind gently flipped the page, revealing only a few words. I'm leaving him. Chapter 8. Today, the first snow of the year fell in North City. After Luis finished filming the first scene, his eyes drifted toward a snowman not far away. This was the 4th month since I had left him. It seemed I had truly, completely exited his life. His throat tightened. He held out his hand, letting the snow fall onto his palm. He used to think I was the one who couldn't live without him. But now, he let out a self-deprecating laugh. Turns out, he was the one who couldn't live without me. Not far away, Selena came bouncing toward him with something in her hands. Beaming with joy, the unrestrained smile on her face made him suddenly realize. It had been so long since he had seen me smile like that. Suddenly, Selena tripped over a rock in front of her and fell to the ground. But she didn't get up right away. Instead, she just sat there. She knew he would come help her up. No matter how far, he would run to her. At that moment, a memory flashed through his mind. One time, during a break at the theater, I had been holding a little plush toy, not watching my step, and I fell to the ground. At the same time, not far away, Selena had twisted her ankle on the steps. What did he do back then? His heart clenched painfully, tears streaming down his face. I had been right next to him. But without even turning his head, he ran straight to Selena, carried her, and took her to the hospital. Right now, he didn't move. He looked up at the falling snow, tears slipping silently from the corners of his eyes. His Miranda, every time she fell, she would always quickly pat herself off and get up, no matter how much it hurt. As if she had long known, no one would help her up. Selena, seeing Luis still hadn't come to help her, and that he hadn't even asked if she was okay, pouted and walked over to him, annoyed. Why didn't you come help me? Luis lowered his head and glanced at the sweet-faced Selena. She turned away, pouting, ignoring him. In his memory, I never threw tantrums at him. As long as he said a word, gave a piece of candy, I would take it happily with a smile. The ache in his chest twisted into guilt. He wanted to hold me. He wanted to destroy himself. Then he turned and walked away. After all these years, what exactly had he done to me? Luis. Selena called out behind him, angry that he hadn't even said a single caring word before walking away. Chapter 9. Time passed bit by bit, and it felt like I was starting to remember something. But in my mind, there was always a man whose face I couldn't quite make out. He wasn't exactly kind to me, but on that day, the day I missed Grandpa and Grandma so terribly, he gave me a piece of candy and a hug. That candy was sweet, so sweet it reached straight into my heart. And that hug was warm, so warm, that all the bad things he ever did to me afterward were offset by that one embrace. Sigh. I let out a breath. Children without shoes always rush to walk faster. Those who lack love always try to find it in the tiniest details. Miranda, how pitiful you are. I looked up. The sky had turned dark and heavy, the air filled with the pressure of an oncoming storm. I hurried to bring the flowers inside, but I slipped on the still damp soil I hadn't cleaned up. And holding a potted plant, I lost my footing. Ah! I fell flat on my back, arms and legs in the air, the flower pot smashed into pieces, clutching my sore backside. I scrambled up. Ow, that hurt like hell. Worse still, there were still so many flowers outside. Grimacing, I rubbed my lower back and headed back out. I strained to lift a large bucket of flowers, when suddenly, from ahead, a man's voice called out in delight, trembling with emotion, "Miranda, is that you?" Huh? Me? Peering through the flowers in my arms, I saw a large crowd. Some people even holding cameras. At the center was a handsome man, face lit with joy, but the stunning woman beside him didn't look too pleased. Time was tight. I didn't have time to waste on this. I tossed out a quick reply, "Yeah, that's me." And the moment I turned away, that top-tier celebrity, under the gazes of both cameras and strangers, rushed toward me, eyes reddening, completely disregarding his image. When he blocked my way, I thought, what is this guy's problem? Can't he see I'm busy? But on the surface, I simply smiled and asked, "Sir, would you like to buy some flowers?" The joy Luis had felt just moments ago was instantly doused by my words. He stared at me in a daze, lips slightly parted. "Miranda, are you still mad at me?" I looked him up and down, and suddenly remembered he was the celebrity I'd seen on that giant screen. But what he said sounded strange. We didn't even know each other. Why would I be mad at him? I sighed helplessly. "Sorry. I think you've got the wrong person. We don't know each other. Also, if you're not buying flowers, please don't block the way. Thank you." He stood there, dazed, as I stepped around him and walked past. Then, like he'd woken from a dream, he said, "Are you moving flowers? Let me help." I turned back and saw him carrying 2 large buckets, one in each hand. I shrugged. Free labor? Why not? Once the flowers were moved inside, I was ready to close the shop and go home. He looked at me with bright eyes, like a kid waiting to be praised. I glanced at him, then at Selena, who was biting her lip under the eaves, clearly upset. "Let me see if I have something for you to eat," I said. I rummaged through some boxes and actually found 2 bottles of AD calcium milk. I kept my polite smile as I handed one to Luis. "Thanks for the help. You can give this one to your girlfriend," I said. "I'm closing up now. It's about to rain, so you two should go." Luis panicked and immediately explained. "No, you misunderstood. There's really nothing between us. We're just here to film a variety show." Luis. Selena was on the verge of tears, but when she looked at me, her gaze was filled with resentment. "Huh?" I was speechless. "What did I do to you?" Seriously. I rolled my eyes inwardly. I reached out and took the bottle of AD milk back from Luis's hand. "Screw it. I'll drink it myself." I couldn't be bothered with them and turned to leave. "Miranda." Luis chased after me, trying to explain. "You really misunderstood. She and I are just colleagues. Did you see the news? I already cleared up everything." I poked the straw into the bottle and shot him a sideways glance. "No. I already told you, I'm going home. Stop following me. Just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean I won't scold you. Don't follow me. Don't cause trouble. Whatever you two have going on, It's got nothing to do with me. At this point, the streets were full of people closing up shops and heading home. Luis's face went pale in an instant. He nervously grabbed my hand. Miranda, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Ugh, headache. And worse, Selena was still following behind us. Two celebrities. And I know how powerful C-pop fans can be. I yanked my hand free and looked him in the eyes seriously. I'll say it one more time, yes. My name is Miranda. But I'm not the Miranda you know. You've got the wrong person. Just someone with the same name. Stop following me. What if that girl behind you gets the wrong idea? Goodbye. And just then, rain started falling, fat drops that stung as they hit my skin. Fantastic. I told them it was going to rain, and they still blocked me. I quickened my pace. Luis finally came to his senses and called after me. Miranda, slow down. Be careful or you'll. Thud. Right in front of me was a pothole. I didn't see it and stepped right into it. Face first into the ground. Miranda. Pain shot through my palms and knees. Mud splashed all over me. I clenched my teeth. Rain blurring my vision as I tried to get up. Damn it, jinxed it. Luis saw me fall and cried out. He tried to run toward me, but then came Selena's sobs from behind. He turned back. Selena had also slipped and fallen. Tears welled up in her eyes as she stared at him, biting her lip. Luis clenched both fists tightly. When he looked back again, I was already limping far away. He closed his eyes, then turned around to check on Selena's injuries. After taking a shower, I came out drying my hair and casually caught sight of the diary on the desk. Him, Luis, Selena. I sat down at the desk and began to think. What a coincidence. Huh? Even more annoying. Just when my life had finally settled, it was disrupted again. Chapter 10. The next morning at 9. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Luis standing stiffly outside. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept all night. The moment he saw me, he hurried over, guilt written all over his face. He slapped himself hard. Miranda, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know things would turn out like that. If I had known, I would never have done it. I was wrong. Miranda, please, give me another chance. Come home with me. I looked at him, my heart calm, completely calm. I didn't know if the Miranda before the memory loss would have agreed. But I was the Miranda now. No. I looked at him coldly. Stay away from me. Luis looked at me pleadingly. Miranda, you lost your memory. Can we go see a doctor? When you recover, we'll get married. I'm begging you. Please don't treat me like this. His pain didn't seem fake this time. But I smiled and asked him, you say you love me? He immediately nodded, flustered, and pulled out the roses he had hidden behind his back. I smiled again. This time the roses were fresh, vibrant red, not wilted. But unfortunately, I don't like them. I raised my hand and knocked them to the ground. Petals scattered, carried away by the wind. Luis stood there, soulless, staring at the fallen roses, his whole body seeming to collapse. I stared at him coldly and said, let me make this clear, I've never liked roses. The one who likes roses is Selena. And you say you love me? But you left me again and again to run to her. Are you insulting me? Or insulting the word love? He shook his head desperately, his eyes bloodshot. The baby's dead. And now you bring the milk? The body's already rotting, full of maggots. Miranda! Selena rushed over and shoved me hard. What gives you the right to talk to him like that? To treat him like this? Her eyes burned with fury as she glared at me, then turned to comfort Luis. But Luis stepped aside, avoiding her touch. He frowned. Who told you to come here? Selena looked wronged. She's treating you like this. I'm doing this for you. How can you say that to me? So? Then I'll leave. And I really did turn and walk away. The two of them were drama queens. I wasn't going to outact them. Miranda, listen to me. Luis chased after me, trying to explain softly. I didn't know she would come. I didn't. I sighed. Was I still not clear enough just now? He lowered his head and murmured, Miranda, you're sick. When you're better, we'll be fine again. I gave him a speechless look. Have you ever heard a line from God? Seeing me ask him a question of my own accord, Luis's eyes visibly brightened. He hurriedly shook his head. What line? I'm going to heal you, so I must hurt you. I love you, so I punish you. What does that sound like to you? He shook his head, obediently asked. Like what? Like your behavior right now, like crap. He didn't get angry or argue, he just smiled, like someone willing to let me hit or scold him as much as I wanted. Luis seemed like he was about to quit the industry. He followed me around every day. His agent had come to beg him several times already. He just sat on the bench outside, saying nothing. Fans online kept calling for him to return. But as for Selena, I hadn't seen her since that day. The agent came to me again, and I snapped at him. Are you sick? Am I his mom or his dad? Do you have a death wish? Get lost. His face turned crimson. He hadn't expected me to become like this. He pointed at me, spluttering you, for a long time before finally saying, he's worked so hard to get here. Are you really willing to watch him fall from the altar back into the mud? I was arranging flowers. He'd guessed right. I said casually, I'd rather like to see that. Later, I saw Selena again. That day I'd said I wanted cake. This was the first request I'd made of Luis in so long. His eyes lit up, and he smiled at me. Wait for me in the shop. I'll be right back. Selena looked at me coldly and said viciously, I thought you would have died that night in the rain. Tough life. Her words had no effect on me. I pressed my lips together, silent. Instead, she lost her patience, threw out a check. There's $1 million here. Go abroad. Never come back. Never contact Luis again. I almost laughed as I picked up the check. It felt like breaking the fourth wall. Something I'd only ever seen in domineering CEO novels was happening to me. I looked up at her. Selena stood with her arms crossed, glaring at me angrily. She really did have the aura of a spoiled little princess. And in fact, she truly was a princess. I had seen her long before, back when I'd finished the college entrance exams. The girl clinging to my mother's arm had been her. The second time I saw her and that woman was at the birthday party Luis had left me to attend. That day she'd been surrounded like the stars circling the moon. Dazzling. She was the princess in the ivory tower. I was the barefoot girl. Why aren't you saying anything? She frowned, then seemed to think of something and relaxed. Oh, is it too little? No problem. Here's a blank check, write however much you want. This young lady can satisfy you. The corner of her mouth curled in provocation, an eyesore. I smiled faintly, picked up that $1 million check. Back then, I had been jealous of her. She'd stolen my mother. Later she'd stolen Luis. Heaven, you're really unfair. At night, when I closed the shop and headed home, he silently followed behind me, dressed all in black, blending into the night. He looked lonely and pitiful. I carried a sesame flatbread from a street stall as I walked home. Under the long avenue of trees, the moonlight spread silver across the ground. On both sides, houses had their lights on. Where there's light, there's people. Where there's people, someone's waiting. Miranda, have you remembered something? Luis asked softly, eyes full of hope. I didn't answer, kept walking. Perhaps my life's road was destined to be lonely. A father who didn't love me, a mother who didn't care, both cheating in their marriage. Then divorcing. They didn't want me, only gave money, not love. And now he was like this. So tiresome. Chapter 11. Luis was always looking for something that might help me remember the past. He believed that as long as I remembered, there was still a chance for us. But there's a saying, you can never wake someone who's pretending to be asleep. Someone as smart as Luis, didn't he realize? I wasn't asleep, I was just playing dead. That day, he came in carrying a lunchbox. While opening it, he smiled and said, look, it's your favorite, braised chicken feet. Every time I didn't have to go on business trips, you'd go to the supermarket a day early and buy a big bag. You said they were perfect for watching dramas at night. I tried to learn how to make them. Try them. See if they taste right? His fingers were covered in band-aids. Ugly things. I sighed. Luis, stop wasting your time on me. I'm actually quite satisfied with my life, alone. As the words left my mouth, Luis suddenly hugged me tightly. He felt that I truly didn't want him anymore. But Miranda, I don't want to lose you. When you weren't around, I didn't even know how I got through each day. When we were filming, you used to chatter in my ear. You always went home with me, cooked for me, smiled at me, but after you left, it felt like something was missing, and it hurt. It hurt like hell. I can't live without you. Miranda, please, let's go home, okay? You said it once. You said Miranda was going to love Luis for a long, long time. You said that. I could feel the wetness on my shoulder, but inside, there was no ripple. Nothing stirred. Instead, my mind recalled a memory. At age 18, on Mount Wutai, in the middle of heavy snow, the Miranda back then, she really, really loved Luis. Back then, she had no one else, only him, and she truly believed she would love him for a very long time. Perhaps I wouldn't have believed it before. That I could love him so deeply, lose myself in it, and now feel nothing at all, not even a flicker of sadness, not even hatred. Outside, the tree shed its leaves with the wind, the seasons had shifted, autumn had come, leaves, by the rules of nature, must turn yellow and fall. In this journey called life, some people are here to teach you something, but they're just passengers. When they reach their stop, they have to get off. I gently patted his back. Just like the year I lost Grandpa and Grandma at 17, the way he had once softly patted my back to comfort me. Luis, we both need to move forward. Before leaving, he came to the shop, red-eyed, dragging his suitcase. He had lost weight. His stubble was showing. He asked, Miranda, will you stay here forever? I replied, no. A single tear slid down from his eye. His knuckles turned white from gripping the suitcase handle too tightly. He stood there for a long, long time. When the time comes, where will he go to look for me? Will he still be able to find me? His voice was hoarse, his eyes filled with despair. So that night, in the rain, I lost you. I said nothing. That day, I didn't go see him off. I just watched the planes flying overhead, guessing which one he might be on. Letting go. I've been learning how to do that since I was a child. Unloved by my parents. Losing my grandparents. Luis, who once didn't love me. That night, I walked the familiar road again. Once more, it was just me. The moonlight was bright, but the road ahead was a little dim. It's okay. I walked forward, light-footed, without looking back. Softly humming, in the day I'm a clownish mess. Pretending not to care. At night, I'm a sorrowful beast. Ripping at loneliness. I was once a sensitive creature, feeling every touch with care. Now I'm just a sad, sad monster.